This video is brought to you by the 3-Minute Board Games patrons. Keep us independent by supporting us on Patreon. Kia ora koutou and welcome to the next edition of 3-Second Reviews. A reminder, if you take these reviews too seriously, that's on you. Anyway, on to the content. This nuke building worker placement game is both ultra competitive and incredibly vicious. The best thing to happen to a standard set of cards since the invention of poker. An ultra pretty set collection game that's just lacking a bit of substance. An incredibly rich setting filled with amazing lore, fantastic models and a great hobby, saddled with a truly mediocre game. A fantastic engine building game all about chaining cool effects and scoring lots of points. And it's not just Terra Mystica in space. An incredibly tight action selection system makes this engine builder a nail biter every time. A modern take on charades where you use iconography instead of actions. And I once had to convey Oedipus Rex in this game to people who didn't know ancient Greek literature. This epic version of Warhammer Fantasy Battle was, in my opinion, way better than Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Much like the original game, the fun only starts halfway through the game. Overall tighter than Betrayal at House at the Hill, but still gets a bit nonsensical at times. This very pretty dice drafting game is something you'll either play once and hate, or play over and over again. The designers of Among Us owe these guys a paycheck. Still the best game out there about backstabbing and betrayal. Cthulhu and Train seems like an odd mix for a game, yet somehow works really well in Australia. The best superhero game on the market. I find the pre-made decks and Sentinels far better than the other options out there. The designers of Battlestar Galactica owe these guys a paycheck. The original Hidden Trader game. An absolute mess of a game full of disjointed mechanics, and the game actively sabotages your fun. My very first Blood Bowl, dramatically improved by later versions. This tile placement game was a bit of a letdown, and one of those games where early bad moves can absolutely ruin your day. A family-friendly adventure romp through classic Robin Hood tropes. Has a super cool board where you flip tiles over as well. The answer to the question, I wish I could find a deck builder that let me do something cool with my cards. The meanest, nastiest, most orneriest game you'll ever play. Tells a story while constantly kicking you in the ass. To me, Power Grid is what a Euro game should be. Tight, competitive, and slightly frustrating. A poignant game about war, where the goal is just to make it through. A bittersweet experience. Je suis Charlie. A busy action selection game that's all about hoarding meeples. This incredibly popular train and set collection game put me off train games for 10 years. When playtesting this game, one of my friends turned to me and said, "When do I finally get to make a decision?" Century Spice Road is an excellent light set collection game. This version just has golems and is way cooler. Twilight Imperium works hard to cram 4 hours of fun into its 12-hour playtime. This fun and fast-paced dice drafting game crams a ton of decisions into its 6 rounds. A slightly uninspiring math puzzle that really didn't need to be set in the South Pacific. A one-note party game that gets very old very quickly. Wild Space is a wildly swingy set collection game whose novel presentation covers up its average gameplay. A modern take on the traditional trick-taking game that doesn't really bring that much new to the table. A truly unique and sprawling Euro game about one of the most fascinating periods of history, the Meiji Restoration. A truly awful dungeon crawler inspired by the wildly successful book. It's essential because the previous editions had lots of bugs in them. Still, a very pleasant worker placement game about wine. A very unusual game about gambling on blood sports, where the players are the crowd, not the fighters. One of the original 4X games that spawned a massive franchise. Also manages to cram 4 hours of fun into its 12-hour playtime. A dinky little dexterity game about balancing ninjas on precarious tiles. Another perfectly good example of a deck building game where you actually get to do something with the cards. A dinky little dice manipulation co-op game, and a rare example of a game where the app is not only better, it's 1,000 times harder as well. And if you enjoyed this video, come support us on Patreon. Hit the notification button, like, share, and subscribe to the channel.